hearing more than they talk. They should be hearing what the other board members are saying and then facilitate that discussion to come to a point. I think that's the main role of the chair in trying to maintain order as best you can. I can tell you at times that's difficult. The second thing is each of us have our own opposing philosophies, if you will. Maybe Supervisor Gibson and I don't agree on something, but if he really believes in what he's doing, I'll respect that. I may not agree with it, but I'll respect it. I would expect the same on my part. If you don't like my philosophies, you can disagree with me, but at least respect the fact that I believe in what I'm doing and saying what I'm going to do. The issues that I think we're confronted with right now is the rotation issue of one. Did somebody miss their turn? There's been comments out there about this is the good old boys, that this is discrimination. Well, I think not. I'll tell you why not. The four most important people in my life are my mom, my wife, my daughter, and my legislative assistant. They're all women. I have the highest regard for those folks because they know what they're talking about and they have the highest level of integrity. So that doesn't play into it for me, and I don't think it plays into any of the board. It does shame on any of us. The other issue is to talk about what happens in an election year. Does the board chair get to use this as a bully pulpit? In some cases they do, shouldn't, but in some cases that happens. The ongoing rotation. How does the ongoing rotation work? And we just had a lengthy discussion about that. So, we've got quite a few people here that want to speak today. But before I go out to the public, I'm going to say something, and I want my colleagues to consider this when it comes back, and you to consider it before you come up to speak. I know how to fix this. And the way I'm going to suggest fixing this, I am going to step down as chair. And I'm going to nominate Supervisor Arnold as the chair, and I'm going to nominate Supervisor Compton as the vice chair. It will take 3 people out of the rotation for the election year cycle. It will bring us back into the 5th, 4th, and if Mr. Hill runs for office and he's successful, he would be chair his first year back. And we can move right on down the line. That makes the rotation, it goes backwards, but it's a rotation that follows alignment. And I am full ready to step away as chairman of the board. And that's the motion I'm going to make when we come back. So that's something to think about. And with that, I'm going to open it up for public comment. And I'm going to ask you if you have a 1, 2, 3 minute comment to make. We're going to be here for quite a while if everybody takes their full 3 minutes. So I would suggest that if you agree with somebody, just say I agree. If you don't agree, you don't agree. And then we can move on. Okay? I'm going to hand these out to some of my colleagues. And you hear 1 minute. Okay, is there anybody who wants to speak for 1 minute? Please come up here if you would, and just state your name. That way we can pull your card out of here.
Chair.
To me, agriculture is time
Will remove myself as chair. I will remove Debbie Arnold as the chair and Lynn Compton as vice chair. It has nothing to do with any of my colleagues in any shape or form. I'm trying to solve a problem. And this is the only way that I can see this thing working in terms of the rotation. And so there's the motion. If I have a second, I'd appreciate it.
I'll second it.
Okay.
May I make a comment too?
In discussion and comments, yes ma'am.
My comment is, are you sure you've thought this through? Because you were unanimously elected as chair. So that bothers me that you're now offering to step aside when you were unanimously elected.
May I follow through?
I'm stepping back. No, I will not take the chair's position. I have thought this through. God knows I've thought this through much more than I ever wanted to think about it. Over the last couple of weeks, that's all that's been on my mind is the controversy and the anger and the frustration and the polarization that we see. We've got to get rid of that. We can't get it. We're supposed to be here to solve problems. We ask for you to help provide input for solutions to those problems. We're not asking you to be here to tell us what a bunch of rotten no-goods we are and we don't listen to anybody. Sometimes you say we don't listen. I think it's we don't agree. There's a difference. But I'm hoping that by this change and by this rotation process, that this solves the problem, that we can move on. Other comments at this time, Mr. Gibson?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have particular faith that this action, however well-intentioned on your part, is actually going to solve a problem. I don't think there was a problem. Frankly, we had a reorganization vote, and aside from neglecting to take public comment, we had the election of the chair unanimously and the election of the vice chair on a 4-to-1 vote. That seems to me to be as definitive an action, just about as definitive an action as we can take. You know, in the interim, angry and ideological voices have raised this to suggest that there is a problem. And you know, if it would be to your liking, I happen to have the history of the rotation of the chair. You are the rightful chair this year. Mr. Hill next year, Ms. Compton the year after that, and then Ms. Arnold. It's you know, it's been this way for quite a long time. So, frankly, Mr. Mecham, I think you're taking the easy way out, and this comment of mine may not get reported. But understand this, I will not support the motion, but I will serve and defer to whoever a majority of this board elects to the chair. That has always been my modus in 8 years on this board. For 8 years on, well, for 6 years on this board, the election of the chair, in particular the election of the vice chair, has been a non-event. It has been a trivial matter. And I am surprised that we have ended up spending as much time on this as we have. It's a commentary on our political system that the room is just about full with people, some of whom are here for the first time, to comment about this. When this morning we had a very important discussion on water, which is the lifeblood of this county in both its ag and tourism businesses, and only a small handful of these same people were here to participate in that discussion. So what's that say about perspective? And I would submit that as unfortunate as the inadvertent violation of the Brown Act was, it was corrected, and at that point, the way to solve this problem is to move on with our elected leadership and to go on with the business of this county that is actually important. So again, let me emphasize, whatever the majority of this board decides in terms of the chair and the vice chair, I'm happy to serve with them. I will exercise the normal deference. I take some offense, I take a fair amount of offense at the suggestion that any kind of gender bias has anything to do with any of this. And you know, with that, I'm hoping we can put this episode behind us and get on to serve the county in the manner that we were elected to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to also, and you started those comments out too about the suggestion of any kind of gender bias and et cetera, which is insulting in a lot of ways. You know, it was, I think, just a couple of months ago, right after the election, when we were at the Hearst Ranch for the kickoff celebration, the 10-year anniversary of the conservation, and Shirley Bianchi was there, and leaned over to me and she said, "You know they're going to stop you from being chair." And I said, "Well," I said, "I figured that." She said, "They did it to me, they did it to Evelyn, they did it to Peg." So what we're seeing here is partisanship, not gender bias, nothing to do with that whatsoever. It's an officially partisan position that has become increasingly partisan. An officially nonpartisan position that has become increasingly partisan. That doesn't mean that we can't govern, and doesn't mean that we can't get the people's business done, but stuff like this, which ultimately in the scheme of things, is, as Mr. Gibson's pointed out, does not have the impact on people's lives. It really isn't what people are concerned about. That's politics. So I just wanted to make that clear that in the past, I don't remember people sticking up for the women supervisors who were Democrats were denied the chair because they were down.
Please.
Talk to them.
Thank you, Supervisor Arnold, and then I want to call the question.
You really surprised me. So it's taken me all this time to really get over this, and I echo Supervisor Compton's remarks. We elected you unanimously, and that doesn't happen very often here in these decisions, but we still do have confidence in your ability. But that being said, I also want to thank all of you that came down here today. I want to thank you so much for the incredible show of confidence, and I consider it a tremendous honor to even be nominated for this position. I will never forget that this is your house, and the things that are important to you are important to us, and that I and all of us here work for you all. So thank you very much for being here.
Okay, with that, I'm going to call the question, please.
Mr. Mecham?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Compton?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gibson?
No.
Mr. Hill?
No.
And Ms. Arnold?
Yes.
Woo!